Welcome to the Trading Psychology and Mindset podcast. My name is Ash Playstead. I'm your host as always. I'm an active trader myself, as well as being a very curious student of human nature, how our minds work. The relationship between market knowledge and self-knowledge is key to trading success. And even more so, it's key to every trader breaking through to consistent profitability, which is what we all want, right? And this podcast is all about answering that question and providing real, tangible, and actionable steps that you can take to train the mind you bring to trading into the mind you need for trading success. In this episode, I want to talk about the certainty-uncertainty dilemma. Probably better to call it the uncertainty dilemma, right? And in that very statement, you can see where the confusion and conflict arises. On the one hand, you have traders who have learned to think in certainties and uncertainties. They are confident of their overall success because they commit themselves to taking every trade that aligns with their definition of an edge. And they have learnt, usually quite painfully, that they don't know in advance which trades are going to work and which trades aren't. Now, these traders understand with certainty that trading is completely uncertain, yet they are supremely confident in their edge producing a profit over time. And on the other hand, why do you think unsuccessful traders are obsessed with market analysis? Let's dive into this one and find out more. So the question is, why are so many traders obsessed with being great market or technical analysts? Now, it's because they crave the sense of certainty that analysis appears to give them. And herein lies the underlying conflict of the certainty-uncertainty dilemma. This leads me to another interesting insight. Why doesn't the typical trader interpret market information correctly? Because that's all the market is, constant unfolding of information. Now, I believe it's because this very need for certainty blocks their mind to what the market is revealing to them. So, for the typical trader, in their very pursuit of being a better trader through market analysis, this typical trader subjects themselves to experiencing the cognitive dissonance of uncertainty, what we might more simply call self-doubt. Now, the more the trader knows about the market, the more unlikely that he will be to participate in the trade, right? This is one of the conflicts that shows up in trading. The more the great technical analyst knows, the less likely they are to participate in the market, because the more things they need to be certain about. So they won't put on the trade. And then often it turns out to be a winner. And this causes the typical trader extreme agony. And I would say for a lot of traders, I've experienced this, you probably have too. Nothing hurts more than an opportunity recognized but missed out because of this self-doubt. And for the typical trader, there is only one way out of this psychological dilemma, and that is to ignore the risk and remain convinced that the trade is right. And that is where certainty kicks in, right? That is where certainty kicks in and causes a problem. Now, does any of this sound familiar? I want you to consider this, right? When you're in the process of convincing yourself that you're right, what you're essentially saying to yourself is, I know who's in this market. I know the identity of every single trader and who's about to come into the market. I know what they believe. They know, right? I know what they believe the high and low of the market is going to be. And even more than that, I know each individual trader's capacity to act on his or her beliefs. And therefore, I'm able to determine how these actions will affect the price movement on a second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour basis. Now, when you think about that and look at it, right, this process of convincing yourself of certainty from that particular perspective, it does sound crazy and absurd, doesn't it? Now, let's have a look at the successful trader and how they think. The successful trader has learned to think in uncertainty terms, where there is no dilemma. So, predefining risk for them doesn't pose a problem because they have learnt that trading doesn't have anything to do with being right or wrong on any individual trade. I'll repeat that. Successful traders have not just learned, but they have integrated at their core being that trading has nothing to do with being right or wrong on any individual trade. And as a result of this, they don't end up perceiving the risks of trading in the same way the typical trader does. And this gives them the psychological edge that drives their system edge. And that is the key difference between successful traders and those that get washed up in the trading game, the 95%. So I want to ask you this, traders, right? Do you believe in the randomness of the market? Do you truly believe that every single trade is unknown and random and that anything can happen? You don't know what's going to happen, no matter how much market analysis you put in. It is impossible to know what is going to happen in the market. So, traders, do you truly believe this? Now, I would argue if you did truly believe this and you accept that you don't know in advance of the outcome of a trading event, that means that you're keeping your expectations neutral. So, neutral is a key word here, as is expectations. You're keeping your expectations neutral and your mind open ended, not fixed about a particular outcome that your market analysis has said is going to happen. Now, when we do this, as a trader, we are truly getting down to the very essence of the certainty uncertainty dilemma. Any mindset about the market's behavior that is rigid and specific instead of being open ended and neutral is potentially dangerous. And I would define a dangerous expectation as one that does not correspond with the possibilities available when you're looking at it from the market's perspective, because that's all the market is. It's a constant stream or flow of information, opportunities to take capital. That is all the market is, right? And we want to approach that with a neutral set of expectations and an open mind. And I've often said that trading is the greatest game on earth. Right? I'm sure you would agree with me. It's an amazing profession. And there's a reason for this. It's not just empty rhetoric, because trading represents so many paradoxes, multiple contradictions, and multiple seemingly conflicting thinking requirements. And this demands of us the unraveling and resolving of these challenges. That's where the stimulation, the fun, the challenge, the enjoyment of trading is. It's resolving these challenges, these thinking challenges, and it requires a lot of us as human beings, essentially. And one of the key requirements trading asks is this: can you resolve the conflict and the contradiction between certainty and uncertainty? That is one of the key requirements that trading demands of us. Now, we know as human beings, our brains have evolved over millions of years, right? To seek out certainty, to look for certainty, to keep us safe. This is the primary purpose of our survival mechanism. It doesn't understand trading, it doesn't understand money. All it knows is the ability to perceive threats in the environment and then to connect those threats with past experiences, past emotional pain, to inform our body instantly whether to run, whether to hide, whether to fight back. Now, that is how the brain works. And in trading, this shows up for many traders in the seeking of more knowledge. That is the seeking of certainty, and the place that we go for that is to know more, in the false belief that knowing more will make us better traders. And what so many traders do, and to be perfectly honest, I did for several years early on in my trading career, which I've spoken about quite a lot, which I'm very fortunate in many ways to get through because I had a good mentor come onto the scene. I got spat out mercilessly by the market when I was focused purely on knowing more, knowing more. I spent a fortune on trading knowledge and books, a lot of which you can probably still see behind me, right? But I couldn't make myself profitable consistently. I had some big wins, I had lots of wins, but I kept on giving it all back and more, and then having to put more capital into my account, right? And that's because I defaulted to more knowledge. There must be something I don't know that I need to know that will unlock the secrets of trading. Now, I thought to myself, I needed to know more knowledge. I needed to have more knowledge and know more things to solve that seemingly intractable, unsolvable problem of why can't I execute my system? Why am I not profitable? So I hope that makes sense. When we think about trading progress, right, as traders, when we think about our progress and therefore our profitability, it's knowing more, about the truth that the very best traders have crossed over into. It's this new undiscovered land, you might want to call it. right? That the very best traders have crossed over from the belief that it's more knowledge into this undiscovered land, except, of course, by this very small minority, an undiscovered land where certainty and uncertainty coexist together. Now, there's power in that statement, right? How can uncertainty and certainty exist together? Well, let me put it like this. The very best traders, the master traders, the ones that are consistently profitable over time, this is the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5% they are absolutely certain that they do not know and will not know and don't need to know what's going to happen next in the market. And this is core to their complete belief system in life, not just trading. It's not just a surface power statement, an affirmation, a bit of NLP, right? That they only acknowledge on the surface. That stuff won't work. It might make you feel good, but it's not going to change your belief systems, because trading penetrates that instantly and brings about what you truly believe, what is baked deep inside you, and brings it out into the open. So the very best traders have a complete acceptance of uncertainty. You could even say they are absolutely certain in their belief in uncertainty. Now, for everybody else, the opposite of this statement, or the counterpoint to this statement, is that traders that don't make it, or that aren't making it, or they're really struggling, presuming that they have an edge, must be the opposite, right? They must have an internal need for certainty, that they are certain about certainty, right? This is where the traders that struggle and fall away, is they're certain about certainty. And this is where the real opportunity to learn and grow and get better exists. I really want to ram that point home. This is where the opportunity exists to separate yourself from the pack. That is your actionable takeaway from this episode, folks. It is in recognizing that our innate human desire to know what's going to happen next is what drives the need for more knowledge. It's what triggers us into survival mode at a deep subconscious level. And it's what we need to overcome to succeed at trading. Now, the typical trader tends to go through the process of convincing themselves that they are right before they get into a trade, okay? Because the alternative, being wrong, is totally unacceptable. Now, remembering that our minds are wired to associate. And as a result of this, being wrong on any given trade has the potential to be associated with pretty much any, or in fact, every other experience in a trader's life where he or she has been wrong in the past, and it's caused emotional pain. Now, the implication of this is that any trade, irrespective of the amount of money at risk, can easily tap the trader into the accumulated pain of every time he or she has been wrong in their life. Now, think about that any given trade has the potential to tap the trader into all of the accumulated backlog of unresolved negative emotional energy surrounding what it means to be wrong that exists in virtually all people, right? No one's excluded from this, and the unevolved trader hasn't figured this out yet, hasn't resolved the relationship between certainty and uncertainty, which is what is required of them. It's required to neutralize the potential of your mind to connect being wrong in the trading moment, like that's that present moment of trading. Your mind has the potential to connect being wrong in that moment with being wrong any time in the past. That is the nexus that needs to be broken. So for the typical trader, they are blocked from this market reality, right? Due to their inbuilt need for certainty, coupled with overly focusing on market analysis. That's the problem. Now, what happens is that in determining what the market would have to look or sound or feel like to tell him that a trade isn't working would also effectively create an irreconcilable dilemma, right? This is the dilemma. It's irreconcilable to the unevolved trader. It creates a mismatch or a conflict between certainty of analysis and the uncertainty of the market. And this is the certainty dilemma in action. Now, I want to finish this episode with the good news, right? The good news is that you have now a deeper insight and awareness, which puts you straight away in the minority of traders. And remembering that it's the very small minority of traders who ultimately succeed. So you want to be in the minority. So I want to thank you, both beginner traders and experienced traders, for joining me on this episode. I do truly hope that you found in equal measure both insight, learning, and actionable advice that you can take away into your own life and into your own trading. I'll see you on the next episode of the Trading Psychology and Mindset podcast.